What if the Iran conflict isn't really about war, but about who controls the future of global power? Sun Tzu warned us. Victorious warriors win first, then go to war.
Most people hear about the conflict with Iran and think missiles, militias, and headlines. But what if that's not the real story? What if the real story is happening quietly, underneath it all? Because when you zoom out, a different picture starts to form. This isn't just about weapons, it's about control, it's about positioning, and it's about shaping the future before the fight even begins. That idea isn't new. Sun Tzu wrote about it thousands of years ago. He said the greatest victories are won before the battle is ever fought. And once you see that pattern, you can't unsee it. Now, here's where things start to come into focus. For decades, Iran held leverage over one of the most important choke points on Earth, the Strait of Hormuz. It's narrow, easy to disrupt, and incredibly powerful. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil moved through that single passage. That meant Iran didn't need to win a war to influence global markets. All it had to do was threaten the flow. That alone could shake economies, raise prices, create pressure. But here's where the strategy shifts. When the United States moved to limit or control traffic in that region, it wasn't just about military presence. It was about removing the advantage. Sun Tzu would call that shaping the battlefield. Take away the terrain your opponent depends on, and their strength starts to fade. And that's exactly what happened. Iran's leverage weakened. Its influence over global oil flow started to shrink, and the world had to start looking elsewhere. That's where American energy quietly stepped in. As global prices became unstable, the U.S. positioned itself differently. Instead of being pulled into the chaos, it began separating from it, building stability at home, reducing dependence on unpredictable routes, strengthening its own footing while the system around it shifted. That's not reaction. That's preparation. And it didn't stop with oil, because here's where the story expands. The next move isn't about controlling a choke point, it's about replacing it. Enter a new concept, a trade system designed to bypass the old vulnerabilities entirely. A corridor connecting India, the Middle East, and Europe. Not just by sea, but by land, rail, pipelines, and digital networks. A system designed to move goods faster, energy more reliably, data more securely. Now think about that for a second. If you remove the need to pass through risky choke points, you remove the power of those who control them. Sun Tzu warned against fighting where your opponent is strongest. So instead, you build a path where they have no advantage at all. That's what this corridor represents, a shift in the terrain itself. And it rests on three simple pillars. First, transportation. Rail systems that connect continents with speed and consistency. Second, energy. Pipelines, including future fuels like hydrogen, moving power where it's needed without disruption. And third, digital infrastructure. Cables carrying electricity, communication, and data, the invisible backbone of modern life. Put those together, and you don't just have a route. You have a system, a machine, one designed to keep moving no matter what happens around it. One that rewards stability and quietly sidelines instability. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Geography starts to matter in a new way. Gaza, for example, sits at a critical western gateway of this emerging system, and that changes how you look at it. Because rebuilding Gaza isn't just a humanitarian issue, it's also strategic. Stability in that location supports the flow of trade, and trade supports stability. It's a cycle. Sun Tzu talked about bringing order to chaos. Turning unstable ground into stable ground is one of the highest forms of leadership, and that's what this moment could represent. A shift from conflict to connection. But here's the catch. None of this works unless the world buys into it. Countries have to choose this system. They have to see the value, a safer path, a faster path, a more predictable path. Some will move quickly, others will hesitate, but the incentives are hard to ignore because at the end of the day, people don't just choose power, they choose stability. And here's the deeper idea tying it all together. Sun Tzu said the wise leader wins first and then goes to war. In other words, you shape the outcome before the conflict ever unfolds. You build systems that make your position stronger while making your opponent's position weaker. And if that's the lens you use, then this isn't just a conflict. It's a long-term strategy. A strategy built around energy, around trade, around infrastructure, around influence. A strategy that aims to create a world where disruption has less power, where stability becomes the default, where leadership isn't just about force, but about design. And if it works, it doesn't just change one region, it reshapes the system everyone depends on. And that's the part most people never hear. Not the headlines, not the noise, but the quiet construction of a future that's already taking shape.
So here's the question: are we watching a real long-term strategy reshape global power? Or is this all just coincidence and chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you.
Please support the channel by clicking the logo on the left to go to our channel to subscribe, or the screen on the right for your next video. Thanks again.
Your next video is now ready.